guys, welcome to our show. I'm today's host, Ang Lee, and today we are so honored to invite three guests to join our discussion.
My name is Stefano, I'm Italian, and I'm living here in Hong Kong since 5 years.
My name is Ruepert. I'm from the Philippines. I'm doing my PhD studies here in Hong Kong, so I've been staying here for 18 months now.
And hi, my name is Leah, and I'm from Hong Kong, but I was living abroad in Europe for 15 years or so, and I've been back in Hong Kong for 2 years now.
Recently, countries all around the world have been very concerned about coronavirus outbreak. Up to 8:50 GMT on March 2nd, coronavirus cases have reached a total of 89,217 with 3,058 deaths. The top 5 seriously hit countries are China, South Korea, Italy, Iran, and Japan. Of course, and the case of diamond princess. Coronavirus attacks people not only over health, but also cause backlashes in deeper issues. There's a rising tendency of racial discrimination and xenophobia against Chinese people overseas and even Asian faces in general. We can see some signs in public that shun and forbade Chinese people. Some media reportage also uses misleading and discriminative headlines. This French newspaper was using the headline, Chinese coronavirus yellow alert. There are reports of verbal assault and even physical attack associated with the virus. Parents say children are bullied at school for being Chinese and carrying the virus. This video shows that a Chinese woman wearing a mask got attacked in NYC subway. Actually, to be honest, as a Chinese, I'm very concerned and upset about this kind of situation. So this also leads to our topic today. Do you feel fearful of China because of the coronavirus? I want to know if you guys, how do you see the kind of mindset to correlate a type of virus with a specified race or region?
Personally, I think no. I don't fear China because of coronavirus. And also, I think it's very stupid to discriminate China and Chinese people because of this virus. Also, we know that the virus itself doesn't discriminate, and potentially everybody can get infected. But I also think that all this can be also related to a kind of like xenophobia, which is the fear of Chinese people or things made in China that people from the West, but not only, can have. But normally you are afraid of something that you don't know or you don't want to know. Chinese culture is different from the Western culture, but it doesn't mean that it's dangerous or it's wrong. For example, I'm a white and I'm from the West, so it doesn't mean that I'm right. So actually we should be a little bit like more open about that. Also, I think it's not right to, associate China with the virus and then to call this virus like Chinese virus or Wuhan virus, because I remember that back to other outbreaks like the Zika virus or the Ebola virus, I never heard like calling this kind of viruses or the Brazilian virus or the Congo virus. I also live in mainland China, like in Shenzhen, and back at that time I remember that when I was like coming here to Hong Kong, I was hearing some, let's say, weird comments from some local people in here, but also like from my friends back in Italy. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you live in Shenzhen, how come? Like, are you still alive?" And then I just realized that these comments were totally stupid. And also these comments were coming from people who basically didn't even know like China or Shenzhen, and then they haven't been there. Discrimination or stereotypes. No, I would call it more stereotype, making some kind of like stereotype comments.
I have to agree with Stefano on this, that the virus really doesn't discriminate. Whether you're Chinese or whatever ethnicity that you are, it's gonna hit you if if your immune system is not strong enough. But also I think that this mindset has a lot to do with two things. First is it came from a very unfortunate time, which is just right after the Hong Kong protest. They were able to attract a lot of media attention that framed the story that Hong Kong protest is a story of democracy against an authoritarian regime. So that actually framed China in a very negative way, I think. And then here comes the virus, which was first called, Wuhan virus, which now is called COVID-19 according to WHO, let's not call it Wuhan virus or Chinese virus because it's not correct to associate it with a place or a race. And then if you actually see the media framing of this news also, I mean, basically I'm blaming media in a lot of these xenophobic things that are happening, because if we look at how media frames this news, they actually say that, oh, this Chinese person died from, is it pneumonia? Is it Wuhan virus? So there's always reference to Chinese. You know, when there is someone who die who is not Chinese, they're very silent about this. Say, for example, someone in the Philippines died. It's a Chinese person from Wuhan. There's a death in US. They're never really open about the ethnicity of this person. So I guess the way the media is framing this news as something that is intrinsically Chinese and that the Chinese people are spreading consciously or not is one of the biggest contributors to this problem.
And as they said, like, there's no boundary for the virus, and then we're all humans, and then now the outbreaks are having everywhere in the world happening. So I think we should look forward and just be prepared and try to find out a solution.
So I want to know personally, have you guys been very concerned or anxious about the situation because of the epidemic, and has it really affected your daily life or mental status?
The thing is, once the government in the Philippines started issuing travel bans, it was actually a feeling of being trapped that grew inside of me. Like, there's no escape from Hong Kong. Suddenly that attraction, that advantage that you can just fly back home under 2 hours is gone. There are also many friends who tell me, oh, avoid Chinese people. I mean, it doesn't make sense. A lot of this doesn't make sense to me. And, just after a few days of this, I just realized this worrying will not help. I have to turn this opportunity to focus on what I really have to do. So what I did was stayed home, or I stayed in my office at the school and just studied and studied and studied. And somehow all of these things actually became more productive to me.
I think it started, like, the virus started to get more attention, media attention around after Chinese New Year. So right after that, with my job, we had to work from home for 2 weeks. I would say boring to be working from home, I would say. In the beginning, it was okay. But then, afterwards, it was you kind of stuck. All the events at Hong Kong, it's canceled, and there are fewer people on the street, and at the same time, people's fashions change. Everyone's with a mask. So you're not having a mask, then it's you get the eyes, people looking at you while you're not with a mask. So these are some of the pressure, small pressures here and there that's happening. At the same time, I try to live a normal life. Still trying to go out, but then taking extra precautionary measures, because we never know, hopefully, optimistically, it's going to settle, the virus is going to be gone, soon, but we don't know. So I think it's also important for us to try and get on with our normal life.
I'm not really scared, even because, according to the latest statistics, this virus doesn't have, let's say, a strong mortality rate. Of course, I don't want to minimize, I don't want to say, oh, the virus is not dangerous, so it's cool to get, I don't want to say that. Especially here in Hong Kong, we are getting a lot of news about this virus. And of course, it's very frustrating if you are here, everything is canceled. So also it can affect you. It can affect a little bit your mood. So that's why. But I also try to run a normal life, and it's very important to use precautions, especially here in Hong Kong, like to wear a mask. And also I want to send a message to the other foreigners living here in Hong Kong. They should also wear a mask. I know that maybe a lot of foreigners are not used to, like the Asian or Chinese people are, but since we live here in Hong Kong, it's like we should use more common sense, and then we should wear masks, because you know what, it's a form of respect, especially to the elder people or to the people who are affected the most by this virus, because this virus, yeah, of course, first doesn't discriminate, but also, you know, there can be like some categories that can be affect the most because they have maybe pre-existing conditions. So that's why I think it's good, it's like proper to wear a mask even for foreigners here in Hong Kong.
Measures of the Hong Kong government, I think in general the public was not very satisfied because it's a little bit like lag behind. They could have maybe react more quickly and more bold in terms of their decisions, but then probably there was some political or public reaction considerations behind.
The China government made great efforts to stop this virus outbreak, especially because they sacrifice a lot the economy and also the Spring Festival vacation, which is very important for the Chinese people. Hong Kong government, I also agree with Leah. I mean, they made great efforts as well, but they were a little bit like too slow, so they needed to react like quicker. And I refer to what he said before, that also, for example, yeah, there, at some point you will not be able to find masks. Now I want to say that the masks are back, because recently I visited a lot of pharmacies, and now I can see that there is a lot of supplies, so this problem seems solved.
You can see actually that they're really helping each other, even the ones here who remained in Hong Kong. I, for one, have this friend from mainland China, and he came back for Spring Festival, but he never went back here. Regularly, he sends me message on WeChat and asks me how I am doing, how I am coping here in Hong Kong, because he knows that Hong Kong people have a tendency to panic buy. And then he's actually offering me, you know, a person in mainland China who is in lockdown tells me, if you need anything from Taobao or something, tell it to me so I can order it from you and I can send it to Hong Kong. And to me, it's really touching, you know, it's a really touching effort.
We should use more common sense. We should not panic, and we should not discriminate, because the virus itself does not discriminate.
What we need is empathy and compassion. I don't think at times like this is the time for politicking, for hatred. And we need to be there for each other in these trying times.
There's always ups and downs. I'm trying to lead them the normal life, go on with life.
So I just want to say that this battle is borderless. So we have to stay strong and work together, and I believe that we will win eventually. Thank you guys. Thank you to our show.